Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another cool unscripted tutorial, and today I'm gonna be taking this image and turning into this. How sweet is that? Alright, let's get started. As usual in my previous tutorials, I borrowed this footage from the red.com, from their sample directories, and today we're going to be creating a very interesting look. And as I mentioned earlier, it's completely unscripted. I'm just going with the flow based on how I feel. I didn't prepare anything. It's the first time I see this actual footage. And just bear with me, and we're going to create some amazing looks right now. So let's do this. And as usual, I probably should go to the camera raw and convert this into red log film. And let me actually bring the scopes over here, that way we all can follow what I'm doing. So as you can see right now, the image is pretty contrasted, but when I'm switching to the red log film, it becomes very neutral, very desaturated. So that's my first step. And again, as you can see, this picture has a lot of noise. And the first thing I'm gonna do is denoise it. Okay, and I'm gonna use my usual 2 and 10 numbers, and as you can see, it takes care of a lot of chroma noise. Luma, not so much, not always. For example, with Blackmagic Pocket, Luma number of 2 works absolutely amazingly, but with red footage, because the files are so big, not so much. I can increase, probably at this point I can increase Luma a little bit more, but we start losing details. An entire picture kind of looks like crap like that, even though from the distance you can't see, but trust me, it takes a lot of details like that. So I prefer not to go over number 3 actually, but 2 is sort of average. Okay, so we have some cowboy, and what it looks like some part of the cowboy movie, and I kind of want to recreate. I guess right now I'm looking at this sort of very Bleach bypass look. And for this tutorial, I'm not going to be using completely any LUTs. It's all going to be from the scratch. So in my second node, I'm going to call this master, and by master I mean master contrast. And basically this master contrast layer gonna play as our final LUT. So I'm gonna put 1 point over here in our curves. I'm sorry. Then I'm gonna create 1 more point over here and 1 more point over here. I kind of want to make a little bit slightly stylized a look of this, so I'm gonna crash a little bit of blacks just at the very bottom. And as you can see, based on this area right here, if I'm gonna go before and after, you can see what we've done. It gives image very nice, interesting, stylized view. This technique, actually, as I was mentioning in my earlier tutorials, it's also coming a lot from the fashion photography. We can also sort of notice that a lot of Instagram filters kind of use very crushed blacks, very milky blacks, but I don't like it so much. You need to kind of know where to use it and when not. It's sort of a cliche, I guess, a little bit, but in the fashion photography, you always kind of crush blacks just a tiny little bit. It's barely noticeable. But anyways, I'm gonna cover that in my future tutorials. So I'm gonna place this node at the very end of the picture, okay? And I'm going to create another node. And in this node, I'm gonna call this Relighting. Okay, I kind of want to give a very interesting dramatic effect. Actually, let's scrub through the footage and we can see the camera kind of moves a little bit. It's raining. I don't want to create, a bright sunny day. So I'm just going to emphasize lighting just a tiny little bit on his face and the barn door over here, and maybe a little bit on his jacket. So I'm going to use very interesting tool that you can find into Power Windows. I don't even know what's the name of this. The gradient mask, I guess you can call it. And I'm gonna turn on selection right over here, and I'm gonna move this tiny little bit like that. I want this to be very, very feathered. I don't want to have any kind of hard lighting. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the luminance. Oops, I'm sorry. I should go just over here. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the luminance, and I'm only gonna be working with the highlights. So let's give it a plenty of feathering. That looks really, really good. And what I'm gonna do now is go to the highlights and give it a slight increase, just slightly. All right, and let's check it out what we've done before and after, before and after. I think this kind of lighting increase sort of emphasizes in this particular situation the hard rain and all that, and I think it gives a very nice effect. Okay, so I'm not even gonna track this, by the way, because camera is barely moving, and our effect is so feathered that there's no really reason to track this. Okay, and our next layer, I'm actually gonna create layer mixer over here. It's not gonna be parallel. This time we're gonna be working in a layer mixer. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm actually gonna go to the RGB, and instead of increasing saturation like you've seen me doing in my previous tutorials, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually make it monochrome. Okay, I'm gonna play a little bit with the values until I really like the look of this black and white image, just like that. Okay, I really like it, and maybe I can give it a slightly little bit like this. Okay, and in the layer mixer, I'm gonna double click, I'm gonna right click on it, and I'm gonna select soft light. Okay, and we desaturated our image, and it looks really, really cool like this. Check it out, before and after, before and after. So we sort of created very interesting mood like this. So let's check out completely the whole picture, before and after. See, right now our image looks way more cinematic. I would say actually absolutely cinematic, very expensive, very blockbuster look. And as you can see on our scopes, I'm actually still keeping everything crushed because of my final node right over here. And if I'm gonna turn this off, you can see without this effect the shot kind of becomes a little bit boring. So if I turn this back on, you can see the actual effect of milky blacks. I think that looks really, really great. So let's see what else we can do. Let me turn everything off, and I probably want to increase a little bit the details in the background to kind of give it a little bit more depth. So in the next node, I'm gonna call this background. Okay, and let me organize things a little bit better so you guys can see. Okay, background. And what I'm gonna do now, I actually want to emphasize a little bit of this piece of wood and some stuff in the back. So I'm gonna use power mask. Let's see, just like this one. Let me turn this off for a second, the way I can see better. Okay, and I'm gonna select, obviously very roughly because it's a tutorial. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. So I'm gonna select this little piece of wood right over here. And as we know, our camera not moving or shaking, so I'm gonna turn off perspective and rotation and zoom, just like that. And I'm just going to track this. Okay, so I'm gonna track it back. Let's see, it looks like it's holding pretty well. Nothing fancy. Just like this. Okay, I'm gonna turn it back on. Our final master contrast, and simply as I was showing in my older tutorials, I'm just going to increase a little bit of midtones, and to compensate the milkiness of the midtones, I'm also going to introduce a little bit more contrast in the picture. Okay, so now let's check it out. Before and after. That effect at this moment kind of looks a little bit too much to me, so I'm going to go in the node key, and I'm just going to dial it down a little bit. Oops, I'm working in the wrong node over here. And I'm going to dial it down just like this. So we kind of see it, but it's not too much, and our focus stays with the main character. Okay, now let's check it out. Do I need to do anything more to that? I'm probably gonna leave this picture alone by itself. So let me play it back and see on a full screen. Actually, let me move this. I'm gonna keep it at RGB parade. Okay, let me move this on the side and let's see what we've done. So before and after. And as I can see right now, what I actually forgot to do is to feather this. Okay, so let's go back, and I'm gonna introduce a little bit of feathering to my mask. Just like this, and a little bit inside. I'm sorry, inside, not outside. Just like that. I don't want it to be too edgy, too rough. I kind of want to have a very nice, smooth mask. Okay, like that looks way better. So let me check it out before and after. And as you can see, that gives a very interesting, nice commercial look. So probably, if that would be a commercial, I probably would call it a day. But let's say, just for the sake of tutorial, I kind of want to give it a little bit more Western-like, more filming look. And I'm gonna introduce slightly a little bit green into sort of overall picture. So I'm gonna call this green, just a little tiny bit. I'm not even gonna go too crazy with that. So I'm just gonna dial it a little bit green, okay? And I don't want his face obviously to look like Incredible Hulk. So I'm gonna go to the selection again, and I'm gonna select sort of mid-tones, but I'm gonna try to exclude his face from the selection. Kinda like this looks really, really good. So again, I'm gonna feather it. I'm gonna give it very nice feathered selection. Okay, just like that. And check it out at the huge difference that green color have made after I introduced it. Look, before and after. Check it out. Before and after. And again, this is pretty much extra. You don't have to do this. It's based on your style, based how you feel. There is no really rule about it. And probably just as a sweet more spot to add, I'm gonna introduce film grain. Okay, and this time for film grain, I'm gonna be using Film Convert plugin. Okay, I'm gonna drop it over here. It really doesn't matter, I guess, what camera I'm using, because I'm only gonna be using the grain from this. So what I'm gonna do is dial down film color and the curve. Okay, and I'm just gonna keep grain. So I kind of want to give it a nice Super 16 look, because I really like Super 16 look in the Westerns. And I'm gonna use GPU because I don't want to have all the load on my CPU processor. And let's check it out. Before and after. Let's zoom in, see how it gave our image very nice sort of pastel looking effect. I don't know if because of YouTube compression you guys can see it, but if I'm gonna zoom in over here, you can see that really, really cool film grain. And basically now our color grading looks like we've shot it on film camera. So let me play it back again, and that looks really, really cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe, follow for more tutorials, and I'll see you soon.